Hello everyone, I welcome you back on this course Strategic Sales Management. So we'll be now beginning with session 3. But as far as session 1 and 2 are concerned, I really hope that you had an enriching experience and you have been able to pick up or maybe break the myths and learn the basics of sales management. Now we have already dispelled the myths about selling in sales management. We have understood the meaning, nature, and maybe we are moving more further towards the role of sales management. Like in the last session, we basically discussed the more strategic role of sales management. But here we are, and we'll be talking about now the tactical role of sales management. So it basically encompasses generating sales essential for survival and growth, creating and directing an efficient sales team, providing rich insights from field, crafting plan of actions, communicating and motivating. Now when you talk about generating sales for survival and growth, see, many times I have told you, I think in the last 2 sessions also, that sales management is not just about sales, but we also can't deny the fact that it is an important aspect because it is the only unit that creates revenue for the organization, right? If you look at other departments, maybe let's say look at even if you look at other functions of marketing like advertising, sales, promotion, all these are cost driven, right? They come up with the cost. Sales organization also come up with the cost, but it brings in a lot of revenues also, which is very essential to keep an organization going. So the another important facet is creating and directing an efficient sales team. See, if you understand it from the perspective of customer and business markets, you will definitely understand why this is important. Like I'll explain this with an example. Let's say when you are preparing a sales team for business markets, it is very important that they have thorough knowledge even about the technical specifications, which might not be required for consumer markets. And the other thing is you need to be very thorough and clear about what is going to be your efficient mix. How much of missionary salesmen do you need, or what is going to be the composition of creative salesmen, delivery salesmen, order takers. Let's say if you have more of stores in the city, or maybe let's say pan India stores are higher, then definitely your composition of order takers, inside order takers who sit in stores could be more as compared to other people. Another important facet about tactical role of sales management is, see, it is about providing rich insights. As salespersons work in fields, they are the only one who get to the nerves of customers and they can clearly pinpoint what is it that the customer wants. I'll give you one example even with respect to how too much reliance on data may not work out sometimes, though the example is very micro in nature. Now think of a situation, you have a shoe store, maybe let's say in a city like Kochi, and the salesperson is very smart. You have a lot of people coming, especially women who want to buy shoes. Now the stock which is more available is for red shoes, but whenever a woman customer comes, she always asks for yellow shoes. But you have a very smart salesman, he ends up selling every time the red pair of shoes to the customer, and this continues for 6 months. Now just imagine, if you are going to look at the data points, you will feel okay, the yellow is not being demanded and the red shoes are in very high demand, whereas the story is entirely different. So the whole point is about understanding the human touch, or the insights that you will get from people who are working in field are going to be very useful, I would say, for an organization. We all know that how all these data analytics has been growing, and it is indeed useful, but we can't undermine the role of insights that a single salesperson can provide when he is talking to the customers or when he is serving in the store. The other important facet, which is again quite important with respect to the role of sales management, is crafting plan of actions, which means that it also requires some kind of customization, because your sales promotion techniques which might work in Haryana may not work in Punjab, or which might work in South may not work in North. So we also need to look at how these actions are to be designed. Now broadly, when you talk about crafting plan of actions, the example which I gave is very micro. It can happen in any way with respect to, let's say, if in a particular territory the target is to increase sales by 5%, how that will be done, that will again come from the plan of action that you have, whether we'll be doing it by offering discounts, opening more of stores, or what would be the other way out? Now the last part of when we primarily look at the role of sales management is communicate and motivate. Now we definitely have looked at the motivation aspect, we mentioned it in the implementation part with respect to the strategic role, but again we are now looking at it from the perspective of aligning it with communication. Communication is the key. You need to have regular meetings with your sales team and sometimes also with your customers, right? And one size may not fit all when it comes to motivation. And see, again this will break that myth. You give more of sales incentives and you will have sales people selling products like hotcakes. This might not work always, because as a person gradually evolves, money still may be an important motivating factor for them, but you also might have a section of people who could be more motivated by job enrichment, or maybe a pat on the back, or other motivational tools that we'll be definitely be looking at as we'll move further in this course. So as of now, I really think that you are very much thorough with respect to the strategic and tactical role of sales management, and definitely you must have got an idea about the broader perspective which can be kind of accumulated to a sales organization in a broader or a larger spectrum of an organization. Now as we move further, I think we are getting to the part which actually I am more excited about, which is one of the sections that I also have in my other lectures, some extra fodder for thought, which is, as of now or in this session, we will be discussing about the resounding success of Tata Ace. Just look at the image. How exciting is it? Tata Ace has been considered as the Sabse Yogya Vahan, and we also have this Chota Hathi, who in a way is a kind of a brand ambassador for this product. Other thing is Ace book the face of trust, because Tata Ace indeed has been very successful in winning the trust of commercial vehicle owners across the country. Now just look at the other image, Chota Hathi hai sab khairiyat hai. It again indicates that this is a one-stop solution for people who are looking for smaller commercial vehicles. And all these news, Tata Ace to come in a new avatar, crosses 2 million milestone in 12 years. Tata Ace Chota Hathi, the history of India's favorite mini truck. India's favorite mini truck. I am repeating it so that you get an idea, how loved this particular product has been. Chota Hathi Tata Ace has something big to say every moment. Tata is fondly called as Chota Hathi. Now you might be wondering why we are talking so much about it. Definitely I'll explain you more, but just look at this fabulous team who was behind creating this magic vehicle that actually revolutionized the commercial vehicle segment. So you have Mr. Dinesh Thani as chief engineer. He developed the chassis and integrated the vehicle. Mr. Anand, he kept a tight leash on all aspects of expenditure. Mr. A.K. Agarwal, he engineered the body, the cabin and the trims. And Mr. Girish Wagh, Tata Ace was his baby right from the concept to the final vehicle was created. Now Tata Ace, which was introduced in 2005, stands credited for kind of creating a revolution with respect to the concept of a mini truck in India. If you go by the statistics, as per the 2017 notification by the Tata Group itself, almost 20 lakh vehicle sales have been done. And I was today looking at one of the videos on YouTube. If you search Tata Ace, and I think with respect to the YouTube channel by Tata Group, you'll be able to see that as of now they have even crossed 23 lakh vehicle sales. So this is what the press note by Tata Group read. Over the past 12 years, every third minute the Tata Ace has given rise to a new business, generated employment, inspired entrepreneurship opportunities, thus transforming lives. Now I want you to focus on this part. They are not talking about that we have just sold this product. They are talking about creating new business opportunities, generated employment and inspired entrepreneurship. Now just imagine, rather than kind of solving the functional problems of, let's say, taking stock from one place to another, which can be taken with through this Tata Ace, it has done a much more. That's why it became so popular. Now, highlighting the success of this path-breaking innovation, Girish Wagh, head commercial vehicle business, Tata Motors said, "It is a moment of great pride and definitely a testimony from our customers that India's first mini truck, our small wonder, celebrates the significant milestone of 20 lakh vehicles on road in just 12 years of his remarkable journey. Leading the market with a 65% share, the Tata Ace has proven to be the most versatile commercial vehicle in the industry." But the question is, how did this happen? Or to put it in a different way, or to be precise, how Tata Ace has proved to be the game changer for Tata Motors as regards beating the recession cycles in automotive sector. Or the bigger question that we need to answer with respect to the specific course that we are doing is, how are sales so superfluous in case of Tata Ace? Right, because I think this is something which you would be more interested in knowing, or maybe what are the selling lessons that we can actually learn from the success of Tata Ace. Now see, if you go back to 1998 or 99, there was, definitely a recession in the automotive sector. I think maybe you can Google and read about it. And recovery was basically thought to be a distant dream. And it was considered to be a major problem for Tata Group because they had the large manufacturing capacity, and they were almost reaping a loss of 500 crores, I think, which is very huge, right? So it was almost, or maybe say nearing the end of 2000, when Mr. Ravi Kant, who was heading commercial vehicles business at Tata Motors, he formulated 4 functional teams, and he wanted them to be on the fields and talk to customers so that they could figure out the reasons of this, the slump which was going around in the vehicular demand. Now, Mr. Ravi Kant went ahead and definitely selected this wonderful guy, Mr. Wog, who was 29-year-old mechanical engineer at that time, to study the sub 4 ton market. Why they specifically picked up this? Because see, this market was specifically being captured by three wheelers, players at that time, maybe Piaggio, Bajaj Auto and Mahindra. So basically they wanted to explore if there is a gap, or maybe find out new markets where they could venture into. So Wag definitely along with his team spent approximately 6 months, which indeed is a huge time, in taking interviews across the streets. They interacted with a lot of people and around 600 customers, encircling owners, right, drivers, mechanics, end users, as well as opinion makers across the country. Now see, this is very, very important with respect to marketing and selling. We'll definitely talk about this in the end, because in a way this highlights that you are being customer centric and you are trying to interact with people for whom you will be definitely manufacturing a product. Mr. Wag, in one of the articles published in Economic Times, indeed mentions that interacting with customers for an engineer was definitely something odd, because he has always been behind the doors as an engineer, or I think the right word would be, which he mentioned, that it was basically an eye opener for him. Now, it was in a meeting with the Tata 407 owner that Wag got the idea of a mini truck. As the owner complained, three-wheelers were killing their market by charging less and delivering goods faster. He wished for a mini truck half size of Tata 407, kind of a 2.5 tonner. Likewise, in interacting with one of the customers, or maybe I would say young man in Tamil Nadu, in a village near Coimbatore, he said, if I have a four-wheeler, then better marriage proposals will come. This indeed specified that a four-wheeler was seen as aspirational and more of status symbol. See, in a way this indicates that, the aspiration for owning a four-wheeler by the people who did not have that much financial resources to own it and have to kind of get sorted with a three-wheeler was kind of, they wanted to have that feel good factor or feel better, or kind of they associated with it more of a status symbol, that if you have a four-wheeler, they'll also be able to kind of feel good about it, maybe for the lack of words I would say in that way, or maybe they'll have a sense of pride while driving it or owning it, right? See, the another exciting thing about this Tata Ace project was when this was, for the first time presented to Mr. Tata, it was supposed to be a 10-minute presentation, but actually it went for 45 minutes, which in a way indicates the interest he might have had in this product, or he was so much intrigued with the idea that he also felt that this is definitely going to be a game changer, especially for BOP or bottom of pyramid markets. See, when you talk about BOP markets, you might have a very different idea, but specifically with respect to this industry, we are looking at it from the perspective of the fact that people who were not able to afford trucks at that time. That's why they decided to create this beautiful mini version for them. But the path was definitely challenging. It was not that easy. Despite the note, or maybe you can say the enthralling support by Mr. Tata or the support of top management, it was difficult because they had a lot of challenges. And the first bigger problem was the engine. See, because at that time the engines that were basically available were either one cylinder or four cylinder. But the issue with Tata Ace, or I would say the best part was they were trying to create a compact version of the truck, so they definitely needed a smaller engine. So what they eventually decided was that they went ahead with the two-cylinder version of the four-cylinder version of Indica engine in-house, which they had actually kind of manufactured or used for the Indica. Now, other thing was, even globally nothing was available which could fit the Tata Ace we are talking about from the perspective of an engine. And however, on launch in 2005, Tata Ace just swiped off the markets. So on its launch, the pricing for the product was set within the range of rupees 2,25,000 to rupees 2,40,000 in comparison to three wheelers which were priced as 1,80,000 and four wheelers which were priced at 2,40,000. But definitely it was the design and status that came with possessing a four wheeler that played the magic trick in conjunction with the efficiency of the vehicle. And see, the other thing is, it was not just about creating a star product. It's not like, you just launched the product which is quite good, as in case of Tata Ace, and you have people rushing around to buy it, or maybe you can say there is a huge demand. It is also about looking at the aspect of after sales. See, because if you are not able to provide good after sales services, then also it might not work, or you might not have those referrals. Because if you talk about Tata Ace, and I would still recommend you to go and look at the videos or the success stories of Tata Ace, you'll be able to see in one of the videos which has been posted in January 2022 only, that 1 lakh units of Tata Ace has been sold only through referrals. So the magic which worked was the creation of Suvidha, which was only focused on Tata Ace customers with respect to providing after sales services. Now we'll be getting to the most exciting part, which actually I have been waiting for. I think I have repeated it a number of times that there are many fabulous lessons that we can actually learn from Tata Ace, and they can be looked at from two perspectives. One is maybe from the perspective of sales, another facet could be innovation. So one thing which becomes very obvious with the example of Tata Ace is, and maybe the myth that it squashes, is that sales is not always forceful. If you come up with a product, which you have developed after doing the right research, or maybe I would say if you come up with a product in which you have been working hands in hand with marketing, it is definitely going to be magical. Because the sales of Tata Ace as of now could be around 23 lakhs, which is a very huge number, or I would say 23 lakhs satisfied customers. So it is all about saying that when you have right mix of research, customer participation, as we saw in case of Tata Ace, that the team was out in streets, they were talking to truck owners, they were also talking to mechanics, they were also talking to opinion makers, and trying to understand what are the problems that they face and where does the gap actually lie. And the other thing, or another example could be, if you have a value driven approach with respect to selling, which means that you come up with a product which actually adds value or maybe solves the problem for the customers, again it is going to be a very smooth ride with respect to selling. And the other part is, selling just doesn't stop at transfer of possession. It's not like someone has bought Tata Ace and your job is done. I mentioned the example of Suvidha, where they were trying to give the best of after sales services to their customers. So these are a few lessons that we can learn, but what I want you to do is, I also want you to think of the lessons as regards sales is concerned, or whatever we have learned till now with respect to Tata Ace and sales management, and then maybe you can express your views in the forum and we'll take this discussion forward. Because there are a few things which even I am holding on, because I first want you to have, keep your mind rolling or have a thought process with respect to what you think. As far as the innovation is concerned, there are again some lessons which are clearly mentioned in the slides, like, there has to be a support from top management, you should be willing to take risk, or maybe if the need be, you should be willing to take the bold decisions. So I would request you to read about all these lessons also. And there is another thing which becomes very very obvious, that innovation is a collaborative effort. It's not like you have just one person who is working on coming up with the star product. If you have people, who are from different departments, like in this case you had someone who was kind of taking care of the technical aspects, you have someone who was taking care of keeping the budget intact, you have someone who was focusing on what are the insights that are coming from customers, it is definitely going to make a lot of effort with respect to coming up with very good, or maybe I say magical product. So I'll definitely look forward to what you guys actually write in forum, and then we'll be talking a lot more about it. Now, as we move forward, we'll be learning about the objectives of sales management. Primarily, maybe we can say there are three prime objectives of a sales organization. Let's say it is about pumping up the sales volume, or maybe we can say making sure that the products are being sold in required numbers. At least the break even points are being crossed, which means that at least there is no loss with respect to the volume which is being sold. Another objective which can be mentioned with respect to this is profitability. It is not just about increasing the volume of sales, it is also important that what is being sold at least brings in some amount of profitability. See, if you have, or maybe you can say the sales numbers are gradually increasing, but if you look at the profitability registers, if they are telling a sob story, it is not going to make sense. So it is very very important that what is being sold, it should definitely bring in some amount of profits for the organization. And the last objective, which again is of very crucial importance, is growth, which means that, in one way maybe you can look at it this way. Let's say the sales department is the department which only brings in the required revenues, or maybe the cash flows which can be used for growth. The other way is, it is again very very important for the sales management to kind of make sure that the products are being sold, and also bring in the ideas for new products, which again can pump up the growth for an organization. Because again the key point is that it is only the sales department or the sales people who are in touch with the people on the ground, or maybe say who are in direct touch with customers, and they can definitely provide that right kind of feedback. But wait, my question is it, or there is more to it? So definitely there is a lot more to it. And as far as our approach towards understanding the objectives of sales management is concerned, we'll be definitely looking at it in a more exciting way. So I hope this session has actually been enriching for you, and as we move forward, there is a lot more that is waiting for you in stores. Thank you.